Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Robert.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
We've been talking about change and Course in Miracles. I think I'm going to start with this conversation. On Saturday, it was interesting to me because we've been working with change all week. For those of you out in TV land or wherever it is, we moved this week. We moved our residence. So we have been through huge changes. And everywhere I look, the word change is coming up. And so on Saturday morning, Course in Miracles had this conversation to talk about. And I thought it might be relevant to bring it in. And this is from lesson 132 in the Course in Miracles workbook. What keeps the world in chains but your beliefs? And what can save the world except yourself? Belief is powerful indeed. The thoughts you hold are mighty, and illusions are as strong in their effects as is the truth. So the question is, what is the illusion? What is the truth? And then it goes on in the text and talks about that and defines it somewhat. Okay? And while you think that suffering and sin will bring you joy so long they will be there, nothing is harmful or beneficent apart from what you believe or you wish. It is your wish that makes it what it is, it affects on you. It goes on, you are the maker of the world that you see, and take the rest and comfort in another world where peace abides. And the other world where peace abides is the spiritual world. So we have made up the world around us. Course in Miracles goes on and talks in another place. And it says, it literally says the world does not exist. We make it up. So it's fascinating to me that our world exists because we think it into manifestation. And I've been thinking about that and thinking about that and thinking about that. So what is the truth? Because the Bible says, you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. Now, I don't know about you, but the word free is a pretty strong word. It really is. Because if I'm free, that means I have nothing to worry about. Wouldn't that be nice? That's that lifestyle we're all looking for, and we think money and friends and all that will bring it to us. However, it's still our world, and we create our world from our own thoughts. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And the truth is, we are spiritual beings living in a physical body. So as spiritual beings, we create the world we live in. And it's our choice how the world shows up for us. So it's a very, very interesting idea. And this week we're celebrating mothers. And one of the biggest changes I have ever witnessed is the first child. Anybody agree with that? I mean, the world comes to an end. And it starts over a brand new. Now, and the mothering nature is to take care of the child. And all of a sudden, all out of nowhere, a child appears. And the child is there totally dependent upon the mother and the father, okay? But the mother takes that personal responsibility in nurturing, feeding, providing the necessary things such as diapers, etc., etc. So if you stop and think about that, the world changes literally, bang, all of a sudden, there it is. And there's no turning back. Everybody there? Would you agree? Once a child is there, it's there. We're still, 45 years later? We're still dealing, and some of you are still dealing with that child. So, that metaphor itself is huge. So if we're going to birth something, then it's up to us to take responsibility for it, to nurture it, to feed it, to take care of it, to encourage it, to study it, to guide it. Everybody there? And I think it's one of the biggest metaphors that I've been, and it really occurred to me. Actually, I think it was late Friday night when I was in quiet, all of a sudden, this change that occurs, bang, there it is. Now, it doesn't happen all at once. There's that gestation period, if you will, and I'm not a female, so I don't know that process. But the growing inside, there's that nurturing that starts even at conception. So, that's a metaphor. Because Jesus said in John 3:3, when Nicodemus asked him, how do I become, let's call it, awake? And Jesus said, he said, you must be born again. And it was an idiom. People have mistaken that whole thing because in the original Aramaic, which is what Jesus spoke, it meant, it was an idiom. It's like an idiom is I'm hot under the collar, or I'm behind the 8 ball, or, what are some others?
Lend me your hand.
Say again?
Lend me your hand.
Yeah, lend me a hand.
Keep an eye on me.
Keep an eye on. See, these are all idioms that come into common knowledge in a culture. Now, back then, they had their own idioms, because Aramaic was a very romantic language. It was full of idioms. And when they said, you must be born again, it literally meant you got to think differently. Do you get it? So here it is. Here's a beautiful metaphor saying that if you really, really want to enter the kingdom of heaven, you got to create a new culture. You have to birth a new idea and then encourage it, nourish it, take care of it, dedicate yourself to it. It isn't going to happen automatically. Can you imagine an infant being born and the mother saying, well, it'll take care of itself? Doesn't happen. Because in the human culture, the child is completely helpless for at least, 8, 9, 10 years.
18.
Sometimes 20, 30 years. I'm seeing some of this. Okay? And so here we are, a whole new state of being. I want you to get that. A whole new state of being that needs to be nurtured and taken care of and encouraged, not just once or twice, daily. Okay? I couldn't think of a better metaphor for the spiritual life. And the mothering, the nurturing, the caring that takes place in Mother, Father, God, and Mother Nature. So here we are in a process of changing ourselves, if we choose to. So Jesus was asked over and over again, how do you get there? What do you do? And he used all kinds of different metaphors through the conversation and idioms. Okay? He said the kingdom of heaven is within, go there. Shut your door, be quiet, shut up, sit down. Okay? The kingdom of heaven is, it was all these metaphors. And the metaphors all kept saying, be still and know who you are. Okay? Which, again, that's from back in the Psalms. So here we are. What is motherhood? What is nurturing? What is caring for in a spiritual way? And how do I become and live in a lifestyle that I was meant to live? There's no way around it. I have to take care of that child that's birthed, that we call the Christ, which is that connection that we all have with Spirit. Interesting, and it really is. So thank you for Saturday. And it goes on and on here. That we are living in a world of our own choice. And that's the joy, because if I'm living in the world of my own choice and I don't like what I see, I can choose to change it. However, there are difficulties changing. Let me give you an instance. Tracy and Madeline and I were out eating out to lunch, and we decided to go home. We forgot where we lived. Are you there?
All 3 of you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
2 of us.
2 of us. Well, Tracy all of a sudden said, "Dad, where are you going?" "Well, I'm going home," because I was halfway to the old house. Okay?
Habit is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Okay? And all of a sudden, whoops! And see, that's how deeply ingrained this stuff is. Now, we had just spent 2, 3, this was what, yesterday? No, Friday. It doesn't matter. But anyway, the whole idea behind it is these things are so deeply ingrained in us that we forget. And we think it's difficult to change. And there's all kinds of tools out there. There's Ho'oponopono, there's prayer, there's affirmative prayer, there's meditation, there's this, there's that, tapping. However, those things are all used to bring us back to the Father, which is the direction we've forgotten to go in. Okay? So the metaphors are wonderful. I'm still looking for light switches. You know, I went to plug something in this morning, and there's literally outlets everywhere, but I had to search for one. I forget that we're up and down now. I used to be able to walk this way, now I have to go up and down. It's actually good for me. My legs are doing well. But there's that whole idea of change. And if you look at the metaphor of birthing something, it's a new shift, completely, absolutely shift in consciousness occurs when we birth something. Okay. So congratulations. The idea here is, and there's another famous verse I'm going to go into, and that verse is Matthew, and it's Matthew 9:17. Neither do men put new wine in old wineskins, else the wineskin break and the wine runs out. So we can't put new things in old containers. So, which means if we're willing to change and we really want a new life, what do we have to leave behind? The old life, and the old beliefs, and the old conversations, and the old stuff that we do. It's like, well, I've done it this way for the last 30 years. Okay, thank you. How's it working? And I have to ask myself that. See, that's part of that understanding and the working on a daily basis of what's going on. So, not only do I have to birth, but I have to let the old go, if that makes any sense. So here we are celebrating Mother, and the Mother-Father is part of us, all of us. And we evidently, at some point in time, when we manifested into this world, we decided to have male and female. And it seems to be prevalent. It's prevalent through all the animal kingdom, and as far as I know, insect kingdom. And there's always this male and female, which is two sides of us. And there seems to be an interest in trying to integrate male and female. And what's interesting also is the marriage rate in the United States is what, 50%? Reach a divorce. So it's a very interesting thing in trying to get male and female together. So the logical thinking standpoint and the nurturing, caring standpoint getting together, it seems to be a difficult function. So part of that might be letting go of the old beliefs and the old energies that I bring into my life and forgiving myself. Of Course in Miracles talks over and over and over again about forgiveness. And anybody familiar with judgment? So that all comes in here. The unconditional love of Mother is another metaphor of the Christ, I believe, because it's amazing to me. I'm watching couples go through custody battles. I'm watching things occur, and it's that unconditional love and the forgiving that mothers have for children that's absolutely amazing to me. Some of you in the room have been through that or are going through that of forgiving and letting go. And so here we are. If I'm going to birth this new child called spiritual me, I have to forgive and let go of me in the past. In other words, if I go into fear, because there is no fear in the spiritual world. In other words, if I am a spiritual being and I am an expression of God, do I have to worry about something? Or do I have to fear what might happen or what might not happen? Do I have to doubt that God's there? See, these are the things that need to be left behind in a motherly way, knowing that this new child is going to be okay. Quotation marks, hopefully. Okay? Because in the material world, there's always this fear it's not going to work out. But in the spiritual world, if I really believe, it always works out. Did you ever notice? It's when something's really important is the time we get the worst doubts and fears. Okay? It's fascinating to me what's going on here. It's like, just to bring it into context. For me, personally, the last year has been a very, very interesting time looking for a new house. And a lot of you heard, well, we put an offer on a house here, and then a week later it didn't work, right? Then 3 times that happened? And I forget, we looked at 40, 50 houses, and I was beginning to think it wasn't going to work out. You hear it? And all of a sudden, no, it's in God's hands. And so all of a sudden, and there it was. And the right opportunity occurred for us to purchase the house, so it all came together. And Spirit did that. Okay? Now, down the road, we got a piece, 3.1 acres. Randy and I were looking at the acres, and we're adding buildings, increasing the size of the church. And so we've already got the budget up a little bit, okay? But the truth is, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all here. It's all here, and it's an understanding that God always works for the highest and best good, and birthing a new child. Birthing a belief that I and the Father are one, which is a famous quotation from Jesus. And then letting go and forgiving myself for doubting in the past, which is part of Ho'oponopono. Okay, because when I doubt, I allow the old stuff to come in. Okay? We gotta use practical metaphysics. It's funny because these folks are in class Sunday morning. I keep reading it, and I was thinking, when am I going to use it this morning? And then I turned it over on its back, and there's a quotation on the back. Are you ready? It even talks about birth. Okay, now this is Eric Butterworth. He's saying God already has done all for us what God can do when he included us in his image likeness. So everything's already done. See, you were created in the image and the likeness of God, so it's all done. It's complete. You're complete. Then it goes on and says, the potential is there. So it's there. Okay? All but built in. All built in. It's all built in. It's all part of your DNA. It's all part of who you are. According to our uniqueness. So you are unique. You have a unique role, and it's learning to express your role. Ours is the privilege of understanding it and releasing it from within us and giving birth to it. So we are to become the mother of who we really were meant to be. And how do we do that? Daily, feeding it, nurturing it, patting it on the back, telling it, it's okay, honey, it's going to work out. Okay, maybe changing a diaper and upset once in a while, but staying and knowing that that child is going to grow into a unique individual. And see, that's faith, that's trust. And see, that's what we've lost in our culture, because our culture has taught us, be careful, don't expect too much, don't get your hopes up. And so all those old doubts come up. And as a new mother, all of us, we're here to say, it's okay, it's going to work out. I love you, please forgive me, thank you. Okay? And then, now, there's all kinds of neat stuff in here. I found he has things at the back, and I got into these here. And he talks about, this is part of the process. He says demonstration comes easily. So doing the work and bringing abundance and happiness and wealth and all those good things into our life should be easy. Do you hear it? Then he says, if you're constantly faced with a problem, if you have stomach ulcers after stomach ulcers, headache after headache, physical challenge after physical challenge, your body's trying to tell you something. If you have one rebuff after another in any relationship with people, then the fact is something in life is trying to tell you, hey. So it's part of birthing that infant that you are, and looking at, anybody agree babies cry? And when they cry, what do? At least good mothers do. Try to find out what's going on. Change the diaper, feed it, burp it, whatever it needs. Maybe it just needs, we do know that unless babies are cuddled and held and loved, they don't grow up very well. That happened in Russia when all these kids were in cribs, and when they became 5 and 6, they became mentally disturbed. So a new child needs that love, needs contact. That's all known. So here we are, brand new. We have to take the time to nurture ourselves, take care of ourselves, and be one with Spirit. Then he goes on and says here, let's see, the need is not to find someone that is going to take away your loneliness, but to find loneliness, what it really means, and come to understand who you are and who you are birthing in your life. Then he goes on and says, listen, you really need to be reading this book. Okay? As a matter of fact, we should probably read some more. And here he goes on here. A spiritual work is a spiritual process that is at work in us all the time. Okay? When a person thinks in terms of the outward approach to truth, it's like they are thinking about times when everything is bad. Okay? But in spiritual consciousness, there's no such time as a bad time. It's only a case of closing your eyes to the divine process, which is always present. So it's just saying, no, this doesn't exist. When you're in tune with God consciousness, when you really have awareness that you are a spiritual being, in tune with the divine, then no matter what difficulties are out there, whatever it is, it shall not come nigh thee, which is Psalm 91. Okay? So on and on and on. The conversation. Now here's an interesting thing. Truth demonstrates itself. For quite a while, I did a lot of motivational stuff. I told you, I was out doing corporate work, talking about goal setting, talking about strategic planning. And I came to the point where I knew there was another answer to it. Because we are using the divine nature within us to control. And I know sooner or later that has to react. That has to, because sooner or later we're going to make a mistake or there's something going to occur. So this conversation was very important to me, and it keeps popping up, and I'll share it with you. Okay? Truth demonstrates itself. The deed is to know the truth and identify with the truth. Now, the truth is you're a child of God. You are complete and whole just as you are. You already have that divinity plan within you, and we have covered it up. Okay? So you don't need anything. We are already perfect and whole. Then it goes on and says, get into the consciousness of what the truth really is in terms of your life, and it will demonstrate itself. We see the secret to demonstration is a very simple thing. Know yourself. Know who you are. And when you starts giving you feedback that something's off track, change it mentally. Okay? And then it goes on and says, know the divine pattern that was within you, emphasize it, affirm it. Truth will demonstrate itself, and the demonstration will make you all that you desire to do and to be. So you already have the pattern within you. Somebody that's lonely, they're really just searching for God, and the pattern's already in there, and everything they need will come to them. And he goes on and on. We see the secret of demonstration is a very simple thing. Know yourself. Know yourself. I forget the philosopher said, know thyself was the key to life. So here we are. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So number one, lifestyle is created by us. And there's nobody out there doing anything to us. One of the things in our world is to let go of victimhood. In other words, if I'm aware of something, I somehow participated in the creation of it. So that if I think that I'm downtrodden, etc., then I'm going to have things come into my life to prove that. Number two, anytime a fear comes up, the fear generally, I find, is a thought that's going to hold me back from going where I really should be going or want to go. Doubt is, and I remember I use that acronym FUD, F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Okay? And then the cultural things that come in to try to get us to conform. Now, we do need a certain amount of structure to work. We need red lights and green lights at intersections. Speed limits are a good idea for most people. And we need rules to help us organize our society. But outside of that, what are the spiritual rules? You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The kingdom of heaven is within. Everything you need is already there. All I have to do is close the door and listen in silence. Be still and know that I am God is the great affirmation. So, in our change and in our celebrating Mother, let's birth the Christ as we know it and really take care of it. In my opinion, and what we're working with here is it requires a certain amount of prayer, which doesn't mean asking God. God already knows what you need. All it means is connecting with the universal source, however you know that, which is meditation and affirmative prayer. Forgiveness, letting go of those upsets, letting go of your upsets about yourself. Those regrets, anybody remember regrets? Why did I do that? Well, how come I brought that person into my life? Whatever it is. Okay, that's forgiveness. And you didn't do anything wrong. The only thing you did was do some things that didn't work. And all they are is indicators, okay, I can start again, thinking different thoughts. So the thought that we're really encouraging is, I am a child of God, created in the image and after of God, and everything in my life is divine and perfect and abundant. And thank you, Father, Mother God, and I enjoy you because you are part of my life. Thank you. I love you.